You know, when you think about what makes a criminal, you might think of poverty, or maybe just pure greed. But Redoine Faid, who became one of France's most infamous gangsters, was different. He was basically born from the movies. His life wasn't just like a film, he used them as his actual script, his blueprint for a career of unbelievable heists and even more spectacular escapes.
So let's just jump right into the most unbelievable part of this whole story. The date is July 1st, 2018. We're at Réau prison, right outside Paris. And look, this isn't just any old prison. This place is considered France's most impenetrable fortress.
I mean, we are talking about a place specifically designed to be 100% escape-proof. Just picture it. Massive, 17-foot concrete walls, sniper towers manned 24/7, and, this is key, the whole place is draped in anti-helicopter netting. The message couldn't be clearer. Nobody gets out of here, ever.
Which of course raises the big question, how in the world does a man, the country's public enemy #1, just vanish from a place like this? In the middle of the day, no less. Well, the answer is so wild it feels like it was ripped straight out of a Hollywood screenplay. Okay, get this. The whole thing took just 10 minutes. A hijacked helicopter comes out of nowhere and lands in the one tiny courtyard that didn't have that anti-helicopter netting. Two guys in tactical gear jump out with AK-47s, use power saws to just slice through the doors, and they grab Faid right from the visitor's room where he was meeting with his brother. And then calmly walks out, gives this little salute to the stunned guards, gets in the helicopter, and just flies away. It was absolutely insane.
Now, to even begin to understand how someone could dream up a plan like that, you have to understand the man himself. Because for him, crime wasn't just about the money. It was about the performance. It was always designed for an audience.
So let's rewind a bit. Redoine Faid was born in 1972 in a pretty rough suburb of Paris. His parents were Algerian immigrants, and he grew up surrounded by crime and not a lot of opportunity. But his real education? That came from the local movie theater. He was completely obsessed with American gangster films, especially two of them that would go on to basically define his entire life. And when I say he was obsessed, I'm not kidding. He wasn't just watching these movies for fun. He was studying them. He claimed he watched Michael Mann's classic heist film Heat over 100 times. He treated it like a textbook, a training manual for his future career. And this slide just perfectly shows how literally he took it. In 1997, just 2 years after Heat came out, Faid and his crew robbed an armored car. And what were they wearing? Hockey masks. A direct lift from Robert De Niro's crew in the film. He planned every heist with such precision, he earned the nickname The Brain, and he would even quote lines from movies during the robberies. This wasn't just crime. For him, it was performance art. Now, this whole movie-inspired crime spree turned him into a legend in the French underworld. But, you know, it couldn't last forever. His first major capture led to this truly bizarre chapter in his life where the line between criminal and celebrity just completely blurred.
So after a huge 2-year manhunt, he finally gets caught in '98 and gets 30 years. But in prison, he was the perfect inmate. He was so charming, he actually talked his way into getting parole after just 10 years. And once he was out, he leaned into the fame. He published a memoir that became a bestseller and turned into a media sensation, telling everyone he was a changed man. But the whole time, it was an act. He was secretly planning another heist, one that went horribly wrong and ended in the tragic death of a young police officer. That crime put him right back in prison, this time pretty much forever.
I mean, while he was promoting his book, he looked reporters dead in the eye and said, "My demons aren't asleep. They are dead." He said it with such confidence, and you know what? People believed him. But his demons were very much awake, and they were busy plotting.
So faced with a life sentence, Faid decided the movie wasn't over yet. In 2013, he staged his first incredible escape. Using explosives that his wife had smuggled into the prison hidden in packets of tissues, he literally blasted his way through 5 separate armored doors. Then, he grabbed 4 guards as human shields so the snipers couldn't take a shot, and just walked out to a waiting getaway car.
His freedom this time only lasted 6 weeks. He was eventually tracked down and cornered in a hotel room. But that breakout proved he was no ordinary prisoner, so the authorities decided they had to send him to the one place they were absolutely sure could hold him, the inescapable Réau prison.
And that brings us right back to where we started, in 2018. We've seen his history, we've seen his obsession with movies and meticulous planning. So now, let's break down exactly how he pulled off the impossible for a second time.
Yeah, this was no spur-of-the-moment thing.
His crew had done their homework. They actually flew a drone over the prison to map out its weak points, and that's how they found that one single courtyard without the netting. They then hijacked a very specific type of small helicopter, one whose blades could actually fit in that tight space. And to make sure the pilot would play along, they threatened his family. It was ruthless, and it was brilliant.
So, when you really break it down, this escape worked because it was a perfect storm. The biggest piece of the puzzle, 50% of it, was that insane level of planning. But it also depended on exploiting that one tiny security loophole, creating total chaos on the ground, and doing the whole thing so fast that nobody had time to even think, let alone react.
Look, escaping from prison once is bold, but doing it twice from the most secure prison in the country with a helicopter, well, that's basically a declaration of war against the state. And the response was absolutely massive.
France launched one of the biggest manhunts in its modern history. Think about this number. Almost 3,000 police officers were dedicated to finding just one man. The entire country was on high alert.
And for 3 months, the master planner just vanished. He was a ghost. And where did they finally track him down? Hiding in plain sight, right back in his childhood neighborhood. His final disguise wasn't a hockey mask from a movie. It was a burqa, a desperate attempt to blend in that this time just didn't work.
This time, there were going to be no more chances. Faid got another 14 years tacked onto his sentence and was moved to France's highest security prison. He's basically buried alive in solitary confinement now. The final credits have definitely rolled on his career of spectacular escapes.
Which really leaves us with one last thought. There's no doubt Faid was a dangerous criminal whose actions led to tragedy. But his obsession with cinema, with making his life a movie, turned his crimes into a spectacle that, honestly, we all couldn't look away from. So the question is, was he just another gangster, or did he manage to become something more, a myth that we all helped create just by watching?